In January 2024, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger announced their withdrawal from the West African Regional Bloc, Ecowas. It was a monument decision that shook the very foundation of the regional bloc. Since then, Ecowas has tried every possible strategy, including threats and diplomatic measures, to persuade Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to return to the bloc. However, all of these efforts have been futile, as the three countries remained resolute in their decision. And now, Ecowas has finally gotten the message and has decided to work with the new bloc established by Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. But why the change of heart? And what does this mean for regional stability in West Africa? Let's find out. Following the coup in Niger, relations between the three military leaders and the regional bloc began to break after Ecowas threatened a military intervention in Niger. This led to several months of tension between both parties that finally came to a head in January 2024, with the announcement made by Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. According to the joint statement released by the three countries, the decision to withdraw from the bloc was made in complete sovereignty, and the reason for this decision was because the bloc had moved away from the ideals of its founding fathers and pan-Africanism after nearly 50 years in existence. The statement further added that Ecowas, under the influence of foreign powers, betraying its founding principles, has become a threat to its member states and its populations, whose happiness it is supposed to ensure. In addition to this, the statement accused Ecowas of failing to assist the three countries in fighting existential threats like terrorism. In other words, these three nations have been battling with insecurity and terrorism. Ecowas, as a regional bloc, has never offered to help, but the bloc was the first to impose stringent sanctions on these countries following the coup. Now, following this announcement, the regional bloc refused to acknowledge the withdrawal of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso from the bloc and has tried multiple strategies to bring them back. This is because Ecowas understands how important Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are to the bloc. During the 92nd Ordinary Session of the Councils of Ministers held in Abuja, Nigeria in July, the president of Ecowas, Omar Traore, revealed that Ecowas risks disintegration unless Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso return to the bloc. He added that the decision of the three countries could worsen insecurity in the region. The president then highlighted that freedom of movement and a common market of 400 million people were some of the major benefits of the near 50-year-old bloc, but that these were under threat if the three countries left. During this meeting, President Omar ended his speech with a threat to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso in an attempt to convince them to return to the bloc. He stated that funding of economic projects worth over $500 million in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger could also be stopped or suspended unless they return to the bloc. However, this was not enough to persuade the three Sahel countries to return to the bloc. Their commitment to their decision was further reaffirmed with the establishment of a new regional bloc, the Alliance of the Sahel. This was another blow to the regional bloc, already looking for ways to convince the three countries to return. The establishment of the AES Confederation made it clear that there would be no going back for Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Before we proceed, here is a reminder to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to our channel so that you can get more videos like this. Now it seems that Ecowas has finally gotten the message and has decided to work with the AES Confederation. Senegal's president, Diomaye Faye, who was one of the mediators sent by Ecowas to facilitate the return of the AES members to the bloc, was the first to suggest the need for Ecowas to work with AES. This is surprising given the fact that at the beginning President Faye was quite ardent in his belief that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso should return to the bloc. In fact, one of his campaign promises was to bring Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger back into Ecowas, thereby projecting himself as a regional leader. This was what prompted him to pay a visit to the president of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, and the president of Ghana, Akufo-Addo, where he reiterated his commitment to bringing the three Sahel nations back to the bloc. During his meeting with President Tinubu, the Nigerian president, after hailing him for winning the election, called him a shining example of democratic values and urged him to bring back Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to the regional bloc. In his own words, "As the chairman of Ecowas, I am inviting you to collaborate and meet those other brothers, to persuade them to come back to the fold. We will continue to work together. We share good backgrounds, and we will continue to embrace and promote democratic governance. We must be able to partner and build the freedom we believe in economic growth, development, and other spheres of governance. It is left for us to provide assurance to our people and walk our talk. President Tinubu also added that we must defeat human trafficking. We must defeat terrorism, banditry, and poverty in our society. That must be our focus and commitment. In response, Faye said that with President Tinubu's wisdom and experience, relations among member states can be strengthened and bolstered for the advancement of the community. He also added that we can discuss with our brothers and convince them to come back into the fold, to come back and share our common democratic values and what we stand for. After meeting with President Tinubu, Faye traveled to Ghana, where he met with President Akufo to also discuss similar issues. Speaking to reporters after bilateral talks, Akufo-Addo said Faye had demonstrated commitment to Ecowas' efforts to bring the three countries to the table for further talks and back to the bloc. We are lucky to have a new leader in place because I think he is also going to help us to try and resolve the big problem that we have in the Ecowas community, he said. On his part, Faye said that he welcomes the challenge to help reconcile Ecowas with Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Ecowas is going through difficult times, but we are going to do all we can to consolidate the gains made in integration in a spirit of common fraternal solidarity, he said. Following his talks with the presidents of Nigeria and Ghana, Faye embarked on a journey to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to convince them to return to the bloc. However, Faye did not succeed in his quest. The authorities in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger welcomed President Faye but firmly told him a resounding no. Interestingly, during his visit, Faye denied that he was a mediator for ECOWAS. He said, "I will always rectify and say that I am not a mediator for ECOWAS, not at all. I am not mandated by any ECOWAS body. I have never served in any ECOWAS meeting." What's even more interesting is that President Faye emphasized that the major purpose of his visit was to strengthen bilateral relations between Senegal and the three countries, and not to play the role of a mediator. At the time, it was quite baffling why President Faye made a turnaround in his speech. Anyways, since then, Faye has been mute on the issue of the return of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to the bloc. However, a few days ago, during the Doha Forum 2024 held in Qatar, President Faye stated to all presidents that it is important for ECOWAS to continuously cooperate with the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, for the stability of the region. The Doha Forum is an annual event that has been held annually since 2003 in the capital of Qatar. It aims to foster dialogue, bring together policymakers to discuss the world's major geopolitical challenges, and develop innovative and action-oriented frameworks. The 2023 edition took place on December 7th and 8th under the theme, The Innovation Imperative. It was during his speech at the forum that President Faye highlighted the necessity of the regional bloc, ECOWAS, working with the AES bloc for regional stability. President Faye noted that this cooperation is crucial for fighting terrorism, addressing migration. President Faye also pointed out that the Alliance of Sahel States is currently facing a terrorist threat, and it is essential to maintain strong ties between its members. He said, "Terrorism can happen anywhere. The successes we have achieved with ECOWAS through various mechanisms should not be downplayed against the challenges of governance, which needs to be reformed. Through ECOWAS, we can address these challenges. The Confederation of Sahel States, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger is facing challenges." However, President Faye is not the only ECOWAS member who has highlighted the necessity of the bloc working with the AES Confederation. Some days after Faye made this statement, the chairman of the regional bloc, Bola Tinubu, president of Nigeria, announced that diplomacy will guide ECOWAS in its reintegration efforts with AES countries. President Tinubu said this during a meeting with German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, who paid a visit to the country's capital, Abuja. Tinubu emphasized the commitment of ECOWAS leaders to the welfare of citizens in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, while maintaining a firm stance against unconstitutional governments. He said, "We will continue to lead by example. We have innocent citizens who are victims of the military. We will continue to explore diplomatic channels to navigate without punishing these innocent people." This is a far cry from what happened when the coups just occurred in these countries. If you recall, President Tinubu was quite vocal against the military government and threatened military intervention in the case of Niger. When it became obvious that there was a possibility that military intervention would lead to an outbreak of regional war, Tinubu resorted to imposing stringent sanctions on the three countries. He shut down borders, stopped trade with Niger, and stopped sending electricity to Niger. This led to a series of disastrous consequences in Niger, including the deaths of hundreds of people who couldn't receive adequate medical care from hospitals. This was one of the major reasons why Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso decided to pull out of the regional bloc. Now, speaking to the German president, Tinubu expressed disappointment over the reluctance of the three countries' leadership to propose clear transition plans, but stressed the bloc's openness to democratic reforms. Our relationship of mutual respect will continue as we reappraise the situation in the three countries. What I can assure is that we will not give tolerance to unconstitutional governments, he noted. President Tinubu further reaffirmed ECOWAS's commitment to allowing free movement and trade while ensuring the well-being of affected citizens remains a priority. He told the German leader that ECOWAS would continue its diplomatic efforts to restore democracy in the affected countries. We will leave the door open for collaboration. This is what ECOWAS will stand for, he said, adding that the bloc would maintain its focus on the citizens' welfare, even amid political uncertainties. President Tinubu's statement quells the concerns of those who have said that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso might suffer the loss of access to free trade and movement in January 2025, when their withdrawal from the bloc will be official. However, Tinubu has made it clear that regardless of the political situation in these countries and their withdrawal from the bloc, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso will still enjoy free trade and movement across the West African region. In response, German President Steinmeier acknowledged the economic and security implications of reintegrating Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. He expressed support for ECOWAS's diplomatic approach and stressed the need for emergency plans to ensure future regional economic cooperation. For Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, there are serious security and economic consequences for not carrying on together. We understand why ECOWAS security members are insisting on diplomacy, Steinmeier said. Now the question is, why is ECOWAS choosing to work with AES? Well, the answer is because that is the only option it has. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have made it clear that they will not go back on their decision. This was confirmed by the Malian Prime Minister during the first AES summit, when he said that the communiqué adopted by the three states, declaring the exit from ECOWAS, must be taken more seriously. The Prime Minister of Niger, Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain, also made a similar statement during the annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the African Development Bank. He said, "I can't be too provocative, but I want to ask ECOWAS to join the AES. There are ECOWAS countries that would probably want to join the AES because the culture of sovereignty and dignity of the continent exists within the AES." So, by January 2025, the withdrawal of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso from the regional bloc will be official. And, given that the bloc is prepared to work with the AES, a new resolution will have to be made on how the two blocs can coexist. If ECOWAS and AES can work together, there is no doubt that stability in West Africa will be guaranteed. The fact is that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are struggling to deal with an insecurity crisis perpetuated by foreign forces with the backing of foreign finances. Suppose ECOWAS had worked together with these countries at the beginning of the crisis, the situation would not have gotten as bad as it currently is. However, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso were left to deal with the situation by themselves, leading them to request the assistance of foreign forces like France, which did nothing to help the situation. In fact, reports suggest that the presence of France exacerbated the situation. This has led many to suggest that France might just be responsible for the insecurity in the region. This is the reason why members of the AES collectively made the decision to kick out French forces and cut off diplomatic relations with Western countries. Instead, they have turned to non-Western countries such as Russia for assistance in combating the insecurity. The AES Confederation, which was formed in September last year, was established to strengthen collaborative security measures and promote socio-economic progress for the people. Part of this collaborative measure was to partner with Russia. Now, speaking in an interview, the Vice President of the Defense and Security Commission of the Transitional Council of Mali, Fousseynou Ouattara, recently revealed that cooperation with Russia has enabled the armies of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso to strengthen in 2024 to better fight terrorism. He added that the results of military cooperation with Russia were very tangible this year. For 2024, we commend the cooperation with Russia, which has seen the strengthening of the armies in our three states, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. We have had an attentive ear from Russia in terms of logistics and equipment, he said. The vice president noted cooperation in the acquisition of highly efficient aerial vectors and the sharing of satellite information, which has also enhanced the monitoring of terrorist movements. He also noted that the General Staff participated in joint exercises with Togo and Chad, which greatly improved their coordination. Now, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are united in their fight against terrorism. In addition to this, Ouattara highlighted that the withdrawal from Ecowas, which had planned an aggression against Niger, was a significant event of the year for the AES countries, along with the establishment of the Confederation of Sahel States. He added that next year will be an opportunity to consider other joint projects for the three countries in different areas. These areas include the future issuance of a common currency for AES, the interconnection of electrical grids, the establishment of an airline to facilitate connections between the three states, and the construction of roads and railways. So, it is clear that the AES Confederation has its plans set out, and the three countries are committed to building a bloc that will ensure peace and progress. The fact is that it would be in the interest of the regional bloc, Ecowas, to work with AES to further regional stability. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this video.